All right, guys. So welcome into day 2 of boot camp. If I haven't met you before, my name is Monica Perry. I am your Market Center Tech Trainer for Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and Chapel Hill Market Centers. And I'm so excited that you're here with me today. Today is probably the most important day of boot camp. We're going to be going over opportunities, which is another word for our transactions. And then we're going to kind of reserve this towards the end of class. We're going to go over Docusign. So I know not everybody in all of my market centers uses Docusign. You guys might use Dotloop. Since KW does not provide that to you guys, I don't teach that in a classroom format, but if you do need assistance with Dotloop, just reach out to me via text and we can set up a time to get together and we can discuss any issues with Dotloop. So that being said, if you are a Dotloop user, once we take a break and transition into talking about Docusign, feel free to drop off of the call at that point if you don't need to stick around to hear about Docusign. So I'm going to go ahead and drop your resources into the chat, just like I did yesterday. If you're watching us on YouTube, the resources are going to be linked in the description box below the video. Okay. So the first thing that I want to talk to you guys about with opportunities is this visual aid that I've provided for you guys called the path to get paid. So essentially what Command has done is created a workflow for us so that we can get paid as quickly as possible. So it always flows the same, no matter if you're using Docusign, Dotloop, getting paperwork signed in person, whichever one you're doing, you're still going to follow this same path. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is enter a contact into Command. If we're going to be using an e-signature platform, you want to make sure that you, at minimum, enter the contact's name and the contact's email. And when you're entering that name, make sure it's the name with which they would sign a document, right? So let me see who's in here. So I'm just going to use Mr. Garcia as an example. So if David Garcia went by Dave, right? But his legal name is David, then put him in as David because that's how he needs to sign, right? Does that make sense? Because you want to have people signing by their legal name. Okay. So that's number one. We put our contact in Command. Number two, we're going to create an opportunity for that contact when they are ready to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Okay. And we're going to go through this in Command and let you guys see it and take any notes that you need to take. When it's a buyer, you might not know which property they're going to be making an offer on yet. So what Command is going to do by default is it's going to name it buyer dash whoever client number one is, right? So buyer dash Pete Piles, right? If it's a listing, obviously you already know the address. So it's okay to have it say listing dash Pete, but then go ahead and put 123 Main Street in the title of the opportunity. Because at the end of the transaction, no matter which one of my market centers you're in, we close hundreds of deals per month. And the market center administrator, your MCA, has to find your opportunity to get you paid. So it's a lot easier to find it by the address than if somebody's name is John Smith. Make sense? So if you have the address, go ahead and put that in the title of the opportunity. So we're going to go ahead and stop right here on this path to get paid. If you need to access this path to get paid, go to your resources website, kwtechcoach.com. Again, that's kwtechcoach.com. And under the new agents tab, there is a tab that says how to do a transaction. And that will have this workflow laid out for you. I have a lot of agents that have been using this for years. This path came out years ago. I've updated it as things have updated. So it's a good thing to keep with you if you need to remember that workflow. Okay. So any questions on the workflow before we go into Command? Check my chat. And y'all, please do excuse me. I know I probably don't sound the best today. Okay, so let's head over to agent.kw.com. So we did get a recent update last week, which is great. I put a video out on it into your Facebook groups. So always keep an eye on your Facebook groups. We can now quick create a contact in opportunities. So previously, and I need to update this to reflect that, previously you had to enter your contact first in contacts. That was how you had to do it, right? So ideally, it's still a great idea to go ahead and enter that contact here, because when we're quick creating a contact out of opportunities, all we're adding is an email address and a phone number. And we spent all of yesterday in boot camp talking about how important it is to have good quality information on our contacts, like birthdays and addresses and kids' names and pets' names and all of those kind of things. We can't do any of that stuff with our quick creating of contacts. So if you can stay on the path, do it. However, I know everyone knows that there are those times where somebody might call you out of the blue, you might run into somebody, and you don't have that contact added into command yet, right? So we do now have the opportunity to quick create a contact. So I'm not going to go over entering a contact in our contacts applet because we did that yesterday. If you didn't get to come yesterday, the videos will be up soon. Again, on your resources website, there's a page called Command Bootcamp, and I will be putting the videos up there. Okay. So we're not going to go over creating a contact. Does anybody have any questions thus far? We're good? Checking the chat. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to head into our opportunities handshake here. And don't worry, you guys, if you forget what these applets are along your left-hand side, you can always click the white KW on the red background in the upper left corner and pop out those names so that you can remember what they are. But just remember, opportunities is a handshake. It stands for transactions. This is the only thing you have to do in command. So we talked about this yesterday. If you use another CRM, that is okay, right? We are independent contractors and we are allowed to use whatever we want to use within the limits of the law, obviously. So if you use something else, that's okay, right? The only thing you have to do in this system is create your transactions, because this is where our compliance officers check your paperwork. This is where our wonderful MCAs go to get you paid, right? Okay, so we talked about teams yesterday. Teams also including productivity coaching. And we talked about the fact that there's two sides of command, your personal side of command and your team side of command. If you're not on a team or in productivity coaching, just disregard this part of the conversation. If you are on a team or in productivity coaching, you may see two pipelines, your team's pipeline and your personal pipeline. If your team has your personal pipeline turned off, you won't see the team pipeline. Your personal, you'll just see your team. But that means that contact needs to exist on the team side. So we looked at moving a contact over from personal to team yesterday. Does anybody have any questions on that before we move forward? Good? Awesome. All right, so for the purposes of today's class, we're just going to pretend like I'm just an independent agent. I just have one pipeline, okay? So when I come in to create an opportunity here in the upper right corner, I will show you the new option to quick create a contact. And I'm thinking that's what David said good for in the chat, which I totally understand. Okay, so you'll have, if you're in multiple market centers like I am, you will have that option at the top. If you're not, you won't have to worry about it. Then we're going to pick that opportunity type. Is it a listing? Is it a buyer? Is it a landlord? Is it a tenant? Right? So since most folks start with buyers, I'm going to choose buyer as our option today. So previously in command, we just had to look for a contact, right? So here's Dakota Perry. So we just had to look for our contact. If it didn't exist yet, we had to go into contacts and create the contact. We now have the ability to create test contact. I'm just going to make it 7. Right, so test contact 7. We discussed yesterday how YouTube is liking to take down any videos with anybody's information. So we don't want to use anybody's actual information. So test contact 7 does not exist in my command database. So I now have the ability, when I typed their name, to just click add test contact 7. Right now that contact does in fact exist. I have to add an email address if I'm using Docusign or Dotloop connected to command. So I'm using a fake email address. Google, it's a fake email address. I mean, YouTube, elite agent at gmail.com. I think that's the right one. Okay. And I can also enter their phone number. So there you go. We only can add the email and the phone number, but that is how you can now quick create a contact when creating an opportunity. But I still recommend that you add your contacts into the contacts applet. Any questions on quick creating our contact? Good. All right. So we have now covered entering a contact. The contact decides to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. We are now creating the opportunity for them. Okay. And we talked about if it's a listing, go ahead and put 123 Main Street up here in the title, right? Okay. So custom tags on an opportunity. You can choose to use these or not. I use mine for like, is it luxury? Do I know that Drew, I'm missing stuff here. Hold on. Do I know that Matthew Young's going to do the insurance and Randall's going to do the closing? Because I'll show you where these tags show up in a little bit. It's nice to see that stuff at a glance, but custom tags are not something you have to use. Estimated closing date for the purposes of a buyer. If they say, I want to be in my home by Thanksgiving, right? Then maybe we go, okay. So we want to target to close by at least the 18th of November. Their time frame, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. These people really want to move as fast as possible, but no later than the 18th of November. I always get asked, when do you create an opportunity? I personally create an opportunity if anybody says, I might want to buy a house, whether that be 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, I go ahead and create them an opportunity because I have checklists set up for all the different phases and stages of an opportunity. You do not have to use these checklists if you don't want to. All you have to do is facilitate your transaction, but I will be showing you guys where you can access these checklists. I will be providing you with my checklists. Again, those are my checklists. You're welcome to make a copy of them, edit them to your liking, but I will share that with you. Okay. And so budget is one number, not a range. So if this person, their max budget is 350,000, then that's what I'm going to put in for their budget. Okay. Commission rate, my side of the commission, not both. I see this especially with listings. It's, you don't put 6% in there because that is what the listing is actually going to get paid. It's just going to get split. This is my half of the commission. So for me, in my business, that is going to be, I expect to get 3% commission on a buyer. Okay. So that's what I'm going to put in that box. Okay. So opportunity phase. These are unchanging phases. This is what we talked about. Agents built this system, right, with KWRI. These are where agents agreed. Agents agreed that we have 5 things that happens with any transaction. It gets cultivated. The person says, yes, I do want to buy, but yes, I do want to sell my house. However, we have to get them cultivated into their transaction. So everyone agreed that some form of that happens. And then everybody agreed that we move to the appointment phase. So we have our listing appointment, we have our buyer consultation, we talk about interest rates and prices and all that kind of stuff in our appointment phase. Then we go active, right? Whether that be an active buyer searching for a home or activating a listing to get it sold, everybody agreed that we go active. And then everybody agreed that we go under contract. That's phase 4. All of our buyers and sellers and leases and landlords and tenants all go under contract at some point, and then 5, we close, right? Everybody agreed on that. However, that is where the agreement stopped. So that's why they gave us stages. So depending on how you run your business, how your team runs their business, we all agreed that there are multiple stages that could happen within each of those phases. That is where you can customize these pipelines to your business. And so we're going to look at that in a minute. But for right now, we are going to say that this person is active and we are currently out showing homes today. That's where we are. We're active and showing. Okay. Any questions on phases and stages? Perfect. All right.
Yes.
Go ahead, David.
All right. So let me guess. So for the opportunity phase, there will only be opportunity phases. There's only those 4 that you said, but then opportunity, you said that within that phase, you can like make layers on it, right? You're saying
Correct.
like
You can
checklist
make
system for
multiple
each phase?
stages underneath the phase.
All right, because one of the main things I wanted to get, I think you're heading towards that is, because I think when you said you had a checklist of, like I want to have like a checklist I have on a piece of paper, but if I can put it on command that says, okay, when it's on, cultivating, I want to send an email, I want to do this, and or send an email to things like that. That's
Well,
what I
then
want
you're
to
going
do.
to love what we look at next, David, because that is exactly what I'm about to show you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. All right, guys, cool deal. So let's go ahead and create this one. All right. So now this is our opportunity. It has now opened us up into our actual opportunity. You see our pipeline fell away. We now have multiple tabs within this opportunity. We have the details, the buyer's profile, the documents tab, the offers and commissions tab, a notes tab, and a timeline. Okay. You put junk in, you get junk out. We talked about that yesterday, right? The more information you put on your opportunity, the more insight you're going to get back about your business. Do you have to do this? No. Should you do this? Probably. So each one of these boxes has a little pencil. It's kind of, light, but it's there in the upper right corner of each box. You can click the pencil and you can go through and add. Okay, so this is a buyer, right? I scheduled my appointment with this buyer on Friday. I got them to agree to meet with me. Our appointment was this morning at 8. This morning at 8, they agreed to work with me. So that's when I won my agreement. We have not written a contract yet. We're out looking at properties today. I don't have a closing date yet, right? This is our estimated closing date, but I don't have my actual closing date yet. I know that this is their budget. I know that that's going to be the commission I expect to receive. And I know that this buyer is going conventional, right? So the more information we give ourselves, the better in terms of insights into our business. But again, you do not have to put that information in there. That is, if you're going to be using this to track your transactions. Okay. So we've done all of this. We've put in our contact. They decided to buy a house. We created an opportunity. Okay. We're going to pause on our path to get paid, and we're going to look around in opportunities now. Okay. We're going to come back to this. So I'm just going to click back on opportunities now. We're going to take a look at these pipelines. So the green pipeline is your listing pipeline. The orange pipeline, buyer, purple, leases. Okay. If we are putting in information, right, then we're going to get these insights over here on the right-hand side. Gross commission income, potential. If everything in this pipeline closed for 100%, that is the potential income I would make from what's in my pipeline. Probable income. Each one of these phases has a certain percentage chance of closing. 5% under cultivate, 10% under appointment. It goes up and up and up as we move closer to closing. So probable income from what is currently in this pipeline is $42,194. Same thing on my listing pipeline. Okay. Any questions about what potential and probable income mean over here on the right-hand side? Keep in mind, guys, all of my stuff is fake. If you were actually moving this stuff through the pipelines, you would even get to see your average time if you remember to move them along the path. How much time do my people spend in the cultivate phase? How much time do my people spend in the appointment phase? From the time we go active, how much time is it until we go under contract? So that way you can do better business planning, right? Most real estate agents, Pete and I know this, we've been in this business a long time. Their business goes like this, right? They're slammed and then they have nothing, and then they're slammed and then they have nothing. And you can't really, it's kind of a tumultuous way to live. This is a better way to kind of plan out what you need to do. Make sense?
Yeah, question. So the potential income is, for example, if it's you're getting 3% of each of the listing, you're getting 3% of each one, and you got, it looks like it says 6 here on your cultivate or appointment, whatever. That when you add all those properties, it winds up being potential 104,000 of commission you'll get.
Exactly. So right now, currently, I have potentially $300,000 of volume in cultivate, because probably only one has an actual estimated budget in there. Under my people in appointment, I have an estimated volume of 824,900 times 3% times whatever the percentage for the appointment phase is, which we're about to get in there and take a look at that in just a sec, right? The addition of all of that, closing at 100%, 104,000, probably around 42, right?
Okay.
Okay. So now, if we want to dive into these and curate these to our own business, okay, any of these phases, you see when I hover, they kind of bubble out for me. I can click into cultivate. Now, under cultivate, I have watch, nurture, ready to sell. Those are my phases, my stages under my cultivate phase, right? Now, in my upper right corner, I have a button that says edit stages. Okay. So I'm going to click that. So under my watch phase, I have a 5% probability that this transaction would close, and I have assigned 6 checklist items to any opportunity that I drop into the cultivate watch stage. So if I open up this checklist, I need to obtain their phone number, their email address, friend them on social media, add their home address into command, because this is for listings, right? Maybe I'm going to drive by their house and snap a picture with my cell phone so I kind of know what this listing would look like. And I can go ahead and put them on my monthly neighborhood nurture smart plan. Right? Those are the things that I wanted to do for my people that are in cultivate watch. Okay. Cultivate nurture. They're getting a little bit closer to thinking about moving. Make sure that I let them know my Twilio number. We talked about Twilio yesterday, right? Add them to the monthly neighborhood nurture if I haven't already done so. I want to be monitoring their social media, liking and commenting on their posts, calling them periodically to check in, putting them on any email campaigns I'm running that month, and sending a thank you note to a referring agent if that agent sent me the referral. If I met them myself, I don't need to worry about this one, right? So you can see each phase and stage can have its own checklist. And I provided, I'm pretty sure, let me double check. I have brain fog, y'all. Please excuse me. Cold medicine helps you breathe, but it makes me a little bit foggy. I'm pretty sure on your command bootcamp resources, if I could click on the right one, that I linked. Yes. So on your resources that I dropped in the chat, and I can drop those again if you didn't get them, there's Monica's opportunity checklist. So you can just click on this. It's a spreadsheet. Again, guys, you don't have to use this stuff. I'm just showing you what's available to you if you want to use it. So the things we had to do, we paused. Just keep that in mind. I just like to make sure you guys know what's available to you. So I tried to keep it in line with command, right? Green listings. At the bottom, you can toggle over to buyers, which are the orange color in command. Okay, so these are just things that I did when I was actively selling houses. Doesn't mean it's everything you're going to do. It doesn't mean that there might be some stuff that I did that you don't want to do. I'm just sharing with you what I did for mine. And I did used to have paper checklists, and I used to have those long wiggle files, and I had my paper checklist stapled to the top, and right. I just changed this paper into digital, and then I added it to command. Okay. So these are one of those times that I'm going to tell you guys, sit back, relax, get your favorite beverage, turn on your favorite music, copy and paste. That's what you're going to be doing, right? If I could set these checklists up for you guys and give them to you, I would, but I just don't have that capability in command yet. I've requested that capability, but I don't have it yet, right? So you're going to click into your checklist, cultivate, watch. You're going to click add item, gives you a checkbox. You're going to come over here, cultivate, watch, click, copy, go back. If you have a big screen or two screens, a little bit easier, but not impossible this way. Paste, save. I gave you all the checklist. You can copy and paste them right into the thing. If you're on a team, your rainmaker, it wouldn't be your rainmaker, it'd be your administrative assistant could set these up for you. If you are on a team and you want to know if we can do that, have your administrative assistant reach out to me, and I'll happily show them how to do this. Okay. But if you're an individual agent and you want to use these, I gave you my checklist. All you have to do in here in this Google sheet is come up and click file, make a copy. You can edit it to your liking, add, take away, whatever you want to do. And you can copy and paste this into your own command. Okay. Now, let's talk about the client update portion of this. Not so relevant here when you're cultivating, but I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to my active listings. Okay. So under my active listings, I have quite a few more phases. I have staging, just listed, showing, open house, right? I'm going to click my edit stages button again. These are all of my active listing phases. I have a few more checklist items here because these are things that are kind of like, you know, this one that's getting to the nitty gritty, right? So call and text my clients to let them know if the photographer is coming. Don't forget to move your cars out of the driveway. Don't forget to depersonalize the house, right? I have an email for that. Sign placed at the house. If I want them to know that I did it, I can check this client update box here. And then in that specific opportunity, when I check off that I put the sign out, at whatever time I've designated for my client updates, they will receive an email that says, hey, David, we're checking things off the list. We have dropped off the sign, posted on Facebook, posted on TikTok. You're listing at 123 Main Street, right? In order for that to happen, you have to have the checkbox checked that says client update, and you have to check off that you did the activity, or not going to send the email, right? Make sense? So let's dive into client-facing stuff a little bit. Notice on the checklist I shared with you, when you're using client updates, please make sure the task description is seller-facing verbiage. If I want it to say drop lockbox, for my client, I want it to say, we put the lockbox on your front door, right? A little bit nicer there. So that's how we want it to look. I'm going to pull this off screen. Bear with me 1 second. I'm going to switch into Mr. Dakota's email address and show you what these emails look like. Oh my goodness, my throat is on fire. All right. So this is what it looks like. We're checking things off the list. Here's a summary of your tasks that we completed for this address. Listings are going to have a picture of the listing if you have it connected in Command. If it's a buyer, there will be no picture, right? We posted your just listed on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We mailed out just listed postcards to 200 of your neighbors, right? Because I set up those checklist items. I have my client updates box checked. I have client updates turned on for that specific opportunity. You can turn it on and off, right? When you're setting up the checklist, you're setting it up for all opportunities. But then in your individual listing and or buyer, you can choose like this person does want to get these notifications, this person does not. So you can turn it on and off, right? But branded to you, just like any other email that came out of Command. That's what it looks like. Okay. All right. So we talked about where to go to set up your checklist items. You can add stages. You can take away stages, right, from your list of stages here. Okay. And you can go back. You can get into each one for each of your different phases and stages. Okay. So if you do leases, you can even set it up for there. I don't do leases. I just have one rental property. So that doesn't pertain to my business. Okay. One rental property. There it is. Okay. Down at the bottom of opportunities, you're going to have the ability to see what's closing this month, right? What's closing this month. Good deal. You also have this all opportunities button right here. So lots of times people accidentally archive opportunities. They do something that they didn't mean to do. And if you can't find it, this is where it is. More than likely is under all opportunities. Okay, so don't forget about this tab. If y'all could bear with me just 1 second, I think there's someone at my door. Hold on 1 sec. Sorry about that. That was one of my old buddies that used to work with me. He was dropping off a little present. How sweet. All right. So all opportunities shows you a list of everything. You can filter, you can search, right? Obviously, I've created a bunch of opportunities. You won't have this many quite yet, more than likely, and that's okay. You will get there, I promise. All right. So questions on this? Everybody feeling good? All right. So now let's go in and look at buyers again. I'm clicking into buyers active. So you see this view, here's that one that we just made. This is where those tags show up. So you can choose to use those tags or not use those tags, right? But this is why I like them, because from this view, I can quickly see, okay, here's that 123 Main Street. That's who's my closing attorney, who's doing this, who's doing that, and it's a luxury house or whatever it is, right? You can pick these up and drag and drop them through the stages. So if we're showing, we find a house today, I can pick them up and drag them and drop it into negotiations to move them. I can pick them up and drag them and drop them up into under contract if we go under contract. Okay. You can do it that way. You can also just click into the opportunity, click your edit pencil, and drag and drop down here and change the phases and stages if you don't like that drag and drop feature. Okay. All right. Let me go back a little bit again. What else can I show you guys in here real quick? Oh, we're currently in the board view. If you don't like this view, you also have a list view that makes it look like this. Cool. So up to you which way you like it to look. So does anybody have any questions about where we access phases and stages, set up our checklist, all of that kind of stuff? I'm going to show you guys where to turn on and off the client updates. You can see from this view, this person is turned on, this person is turned off, right? I'm going to show you where that happens. So let's say I wanted to turn this one on. I'm going to click here. I'm going to come into the upper right, send daily progress emails. When do I want them to go out? I have one default time set for this, which is 5:30 p.m. Maybe this person works second shift. I want it to go at a different time. For this one specific opportunity, I can change it. Does that make sense? I can choose, is it going to go to just my client? Is it going to go to the person if I'm on a team working the thing and the rainmaker of the team? And I can even add a contact. A lot of times we have, like, if it's a senior parent, their child wants to be notified. If it's a 25-year-old, their parent wants to be notified. They're not actually part of the transaction. They just want to know what's happening. Then you can add them here. Make sense? Good deal?
Yes, good.
Awesome. Okay. We're going to switch to my phone view real quick. Hopefully real quick. Yesterday it didn't want to be quick. We're going to talk about Command Mobile. I'm going to turn my phone to do not disturb so it doesn't ding on us 500 million times. If y'all just bear with me one sec. Push that phone screen up and over here.
So while you're looking that up, so what client update, so when you do that, so when you go to the individual card of that client and you can set up, you want it every day at, at 5:30 on a certain day, like if I wanted to do, for example, like my goal is like every Tuesdays or every Fridays, I want to give, or every 2 weeks, I want to give an update to my clients of, what has happened. Like, the home inspection's been done.
Sure.
Insurance or whatever the case may be. So can we schedule that? And then how it's worded to them in the email is what we name it on the
checklist
task.
Correct. And that is really the only way for us to do it currently, right? I'm not saying that won't change, that won't improve, but currently, whatever you have on the checklist that you have marked as a client update, and then you check off that you did it, that is what's going to go in the email.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Everybody sees my phone, hopefully. Okay. So we're going to go into the command app real quick. So I want to show you guys opportunities on the go, right? So unfortunately, quick creating of contacts does not exist in opportunities on the go. Remember, command app is an addition to our desktop experience, not a replacement for our desktop experience, right? So we would already need to have the contact in the system if we were going to create an opportunity on the go. But you can see, instead of having multiple pipelines, because it's a truncated size, they're all compressed into one pipeline. Okay. So, but if I click on cultivate, it's going to open all of them, my buyers and my listings that are in cultivate. Make sense? Okay. And then you can still go through all your active and under contract phases and stages. You can still see your little tags, right? All the different things. Pretty cool thing here. Say that this is your listing and you're out somewhere that you're not familiar with, and you're like, oh, dang, I need to drop by that listing and drop off more flyers or whatever it is. I can click the address. It'll open my map and I can navigate myself there from my phone, which I think is pretty sweet. Okay, so let me go back to my home screen. If I click this plus button in the command app, I can create an opportunity on the go, right? I can pick listing buyer, landlord, tenant, just like I was, enter the name, select the contact, all the same things. I can add and remove the tags, put budget, financing, commission, all the same stuff I can do on the desktop as far as the creation goes, right? So if you're ever out and you need to make one, you have the ability to do so. And just like on our desktop experience, I'm going to open a test contact. And I have an opportunities tab under my contact. There's that one we created today. I could also create it from here, right? And pick all the stuff. It's already got the contact in there this way, but I can still do both of those things on the go. I can create it from the home screen of the command app. I can create it from within the contact in the command app, right? Questions on that part? I always just like to show you guys what you can do in the app. Good? Cool. Go ahead and close that out. Okay. And so same thing here, guys. Let me open test contact 7 on the command app. Move that out of the way. He has an opportunities tab over here that I can create opportunities from or go directly to the opportunity that we were working on earlier. Good deal? All right. So let's go back to what our little path we were on. Everybody good? No questions on anything that other stuff that we were talking about? I'm going to refocus back. So we've entered our contact. We created their opportunity. Okay. Now we're in it, right? When we created it, it opened us to this screen. So our next step is going to be to go to our documents tab. Please, 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 please click pick a checklist type on the left, especially if you're going to be using Docusign. Okay. Especially if you're going to be using Docusign. Click pick a checklist type. That's why I highlighted it right there. Pick a checklist type. Okay. Because all of the stuff that has a DS next to the form in the opportunity is going to automatically be in your Docusign room when you start it. So you don't have to go hunt and find the working with real estate agents and the buyer agency agreement and the offer to purchase and the deal and blah, blah, blah. It's just going to go into the room for you, right? But if you don't pick a checklist type first, it won't do that. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that especially for when we go into Docusign later in the class. Okay. So pick a checklist type. Now, we're not going to go into Docusign right now because we have some folks that use .loop. Okay. But we're going to pretend like we started a transaction in Docusign, .loop, we got it signed in paper. You could scribe it on a slab. It doesn't matter. As long as you take that finished copy and you put it back in command. That's all I care about. I don't care where you get it signed. Okay. Some people still like to use zip forms and Docusign e-signature. That is completely fine. Okay. The main part you want to do is add your documents back in command. Okay. So you're working with real estate agents. This is the Winston-Salem checklist. Everybody's checklist looks slightly different, but all of them have the documents that you need and they say required next to the ones that are required. So make sure if it says required that you upload it there from wherever you got it from. Currently, we're just going to pretend like we got stuff ink signed and we scanned it and put it in our computer. Okay. So working with real estate agents, browse, find it on your computer. I'm just going to grab something and you put it where it goes. Right. So if this says working with real estate agents, you're uploading working with real estate agents. If this says buyer agency agreement to the right, you're uploading the buyer agency agreement. Right. And then you have an under contract folder. So here, this says conditional. It's got an I. That's because it's got a note for you. So if the property is listed in the MLS, not every property is, right? It could have been a for sale by owner. There's different reasons why it might not have been in the MLS. But it says conditional. If the property is listed in the MLS, you need to upload the MLS sheet into command, right? It's got an I there that you can hover over and it gives you information. You're going to have some form of an offer to purchase. More than likely, it's going to be a 2-T offer to purchase. If it's a new construction, they might not have used it. They might have used their own form, right? Some builders have their own form. And then that form has the mineral oil and gas rights and the residential property disclosure built into the form. Then you're going to run into a little different scenario. But for the most part, you're going to be using a 2-T offer to purchase. You're going to get a page 16 signed that you gave the seller the due diligence fee and that you dropped off, or your agent, that your client, the seller is going to sign that they received the due diligence fee from your client, which you dropped off. You also probably would have the agent signing that you dropped off the due diligence check and a signature that you, the buyer's agent, dropped off the due diligence check at the attorney's office. Good. That's what the page 16 receipt of monies is. If these are underlined, that means that I've added blank copies for you there. You can click it. If you need to quick print off an offer to purchase, boom, it's right there. Okay. Every year I spend like 3 days and I go through and I get every new document July 1st and I upload it here in command so that you have the blank copies of the documents. Okay. I also share in your Facebook groups for your private companies, because I've got 3, my Google Drive of all of the North Carolina real estate forms, right? It's a private file for all of y'all if you ever need to quick print one out. There's a print button. You can just send it right to your printer if you needed a hard copy. That's if it's underlined. If it's not underlined, there's not a form there. Make sense? Okay. And then you'll have your closing folder. Okay. So these are the things that you would need when it closes. Best practice, do this as you go. Do this as you go. Do not wait until closing day and then upload everything for your consultation under contract in your closing folder. Because guess what you're not going to do? You're not getting paid that day because no one's been checking your paperwork. And trust y'all, I've seen some nightmares happen. I've seen people close properties and they used all of last year's forms because they didn't realize that this year's forms came out and the property was already closed, and they had to go to the person and say, I know you're trying to move into your house, but I need you to re-sign your working with real estate agents, buyer agency agreement, offer to purchase a contract. I mean, it was a nightmare. If they had turned their forms in along the way, as soon as they turned in that buyer agency, we would have been like, whoa, 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 we're in new forms. Go get this re-signed, and they would have been fixed all the way forward. But they didn't know. Okay. Especially if you're getting stuff signed like in ink. I didn't update the forms that you're using to print. I mean, and I don't know where you got them from. I'm updating them here for you, but that's why it's so important to have somebody checking behind you. I know it can be a pain to turn your documents in and have somebody go, you didn't check this box. And they're doing it so that we don't get in trouble. Right? They're trying to keep us on the straight and narrow. Trust. Read the back of the North Carolina Real Estate Bulletin if you think you don't want somebody checking behind you, and look at all the people that get their licenses taken away and whole companies that get their licenses taken away. Okay. So questions on that? Once we have our forms ready, we're in the consultation folder, upload working with real estate agents, upload exclusive buyer agency agreement, submit it to the market center with this button, submit to MC. If you have a question, you can click this add a comment button. Some market centers are better than others at checking these, but you can @ symbol. It's going to be a list of your leadership team, whoever your brokers in charge are. I will be on there. Your team leader will be on there. Your compliance officers, if there's somebody that's a compliance officer only, will be on there. And you can @ symbol the person and say, hey, I've never done this. Did I miss anything? Right? Whatever your question is. And you can add that reply there. Okay. Let's add a comment button. So another question I get all the time is, I put an offer in for my buyer. I turned everything in. We went under contract. And then when we were doing the home inspection, the buyer was like, oh, heck to the no, I'm not buying this house. There's too much wrong with it. Now we're going to buy a different house. Do I create a new opportunity? No, you don't. Your buyer agency agreement and your exclusive, you're working with real estate agents and buyer agency didn't change. This folder would already say it was approved, and you would be here. And this would say it was approved because you had already turned in your offer to purchase and stuff. All you have to do is come to where it says under contract, drop down, click add version. You would get a whole new checklist, clean. You can upload all your new documents for 567 Maple instead of 123 Main and start that process over again. It's the same opportunity to make money. You're just doing it with a different property. It maintains your old documents because you're supposed to as a real estate agent for 7 years. Congratulations. You get to hold on to those files forever, right? So no, you do not have to create a new opportunity. You just create a new version of the checklist. And you can toggle back and forth between the two. So you didn't lose all those old documents. Another cool thing you can do from here is you can export these documents and password protect them if you need to send them to an attorney, to send them to the lender, to send them wherever you need to send them, which is pretty sweet. Just click export. You can choose which ones you want to export, where they're going, whose email address they're going to, check that you want to password protect them, put a password in there, all that kind of fun stuff from here. If you need to upload something that doesn't exist in the checklist that was built for you, okay? First of all, make sure you actually need to upload it and turn it in. If you do, say it's like There's a 4T agreement to amend contract right here. There's only one placeholder for it, right? You had to change the price, due diligence amount, closing date. You already turned that in. Then something else has to get changed, and you're like, wait, now there's nowhere for me to put this 4T, right? There's a button up here under the three dots that says add document, and it will give you a new placeholder, and you can say like 4T number 2, right? I had to change it again because that's something you actually need to turn in. Things you don't need to turn in most of the time are like pre-approval letters, all that kind of stuff. You need them as an agent. We don't need to check them, right? So that kind of stuff, create a custom folder and you can drop whatever you want in there. Stuff that you need to maintain for your records as the agent, but stuff that we don't need to check. We don't look in your custom folders. Make sense? Cool deal. Okay. So then you would make sure that you turned all that paperwork in. You would go to your under contract folder, turn all that paperwork in, and then you would get to your closing, and all you would have to do is turn that stuff in and you can get paid quick, right? Because nobody has to check 30 documents in order for you to get paid. So looking here, we skipped over this. This is just the getting signed the documents part, but we've added our documents and submitted them to the Market Center for compliance review. 72 hours, that's a North Carolina Real Estate Commission law, not us, right? Do most agents do it? I'm not going to say that I'm being recorded. I'm just telling you what North Carolina says you're supposed to do, right? Now, the other piece of this, right? There's two pieces to getting paid. You got to turn in all your documents and get them approved. The second piece is number 5. We got to ask for our commission. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. So everybody's comfortable with documents. We got to turn them in. Cool. Awesome. We're going to move into our offers and commissions tab. We're going to pretend like Dakota did. That's Dakota, by the way. He's back there walking on the table like a weirdo. We're going to pretend that Dakota put a full price offer in $350. Okay. Remember, that was his budget. We're going to click add a new offer. And you can name your offer whatever you want to name it. And we're going to click create offer. He made his offer today. We said we were going to close, or that we hope to close on the 28th of October. If I know this house, Pete, you got a listing right now? Unmute yourself, honey. Or does anybody on the call have a listing that I can use that's active? All right, that's fine. I'll find one. Oh, I can use one of these fake ones. I'm just going to use that. So if it exists in the MLS, you can look it up, right? From the KWS, you just click select, you look up the listing, you pick it. That way it's connected. It fills in a lot of the info for you. Okay. And then we click parties. Any questions on this? Version name, offer date, closing date, address, or select from KWLS. Good. Click in parties. I knew it was going to do that to me. Hold on. Please hold. Let me go to the MLS real quick and find a listing that's real, that's a real listing. My matrix. I'm going to go to my office. Let's find something pretty. What do we say? 350 was our budget. Ardmore. All right, I'll take it. Give a shout out to Teresa Blackburn. It's a cute little listing over in Ardmore. We're going to borrow that listing. That's what we're making our offer on. I'm going to change this from only my listing to all listings. And search. It should be here somewhere. Let me check all statuses. Not liking me today. Sometimes you gotta be. Try MLS number. There it is. Done. All right. So now I'm going to click parties. Okay. So it knows who my buyer was and it knows that I was the buyer's agent. I'm just going to say the seller was the Smiths. And it knew that Teresa was the agent because I added it from KWLS. If it didn't do that, if I just put it from the address, I could just type the agent's name in. All you have to do is fill out what has the red asterisks. Right? So it's not a ton that you have to fill in, just the stuff with the red asterisks. Questions on that part? Good. Going to move forward to terms. You can be as detailed here as you want, right? I could put all 350 in cash because really it's only me that's seeing it. As long as my sales price is the total. If I like know that he did $100,000 down and 250 in financing, I'm still going to get the same thing, 350 in the sales price, which is what I want, the total price, right? Earnest money, you don't have to put this in. If you know that he did, $1,000 of earnest money and you want to put it in, great. If you know the option fee, also known as the due diligence fee in North Carolina, it's just that most people don't call it due diligence fee across the country, was $2,000, then I can put it in there. Okay. Termination option, also known as due diligence period. If I know that that was 20 days, then I can put it in there if I want. Seller cost, seller will contribute this amount to a residential service contract. That would mean like a termite bond or a home warranty. The second box would be seller's closing cost. Again, not necessary, but if I want to put it in there, I can. Where this stuff really, the detail-oriented stuff comes into play, and I don't know that we're running into this quite as much anymore, is when it's our listing, we can add multiple offers in here and it creates a spreadsheet for us to give to our sellers. So that's when you might want to get a little more detailed about putting this stuff in here. Okay. Everybody cool with this until I click agent analysis? Any questions on this?
Yeah, so when you see where it says cash and it says finance amount, when you say cash, for example, 100,000, and is that including like when they put earnest money and option fee, due diligence fee, and under that 100,000 in cash, or that's
It
just
can be.
separate?
It can be.
Okay.
It's however you really feel. In all honesty, it's however you feel like doing the math. Like I said, for a buyer perspective, you can put as much detail or as little in here as you want. You just got to fill in what you have to fill in. It's more
Okay.
from a listing perspective where they'd want to know, okay, this person's doing all cash, this person's doing conventional, this person's doing FHA. Which one do I want to go with? Right? Because you're comparing multiple offers. Make sense? Good?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, we're going to go forward. Okay, again, more important on a multiple offer situation for a listing. Agent analysis, pros of the offer, cons of the offer, summary. All right, save it. So now we have our offer right here. There's our listing. That's how much our offer is. Blah, blah, blah. We've got everything here. We're going to accept this offer. This is the same for a buyer or a listing. You have to add an offer. So if you're looking at this, we've turned in our documents and now we've created an offer and accepted it, right? So what we just did, we accepted the offer. Now that we clicked accept, we can click manage commission. Okay? Because we said manage commission right here. We had to fill in everything with the asterisks and click manage commission. And now we're in the commission page. Okay? So now it's going to show me my total commission, how much I need to pay to the office, royalty fee, company commission, yada, yada, yada. How much am I going to get? Okay. Over here, I need my contract date. Somehow I missed it along the way. That's okay. We wrote the contract today, the 27th. I'm going to save the changes. Now there's nothing red in here saying that I can't turn it in. It's going to show me what it would do to my cap when it closed. Okay. So this is the second part of what you have to do to get paid. You have to turn in your paperwork. You have to turn in your commission, right? Our MCAs prefer that you do this when you go under contract because they use it for dollar projections, right? If you submit it to your MCA and it falls through, there is a button that says request termination, and you just request it. They kick it back at you and you put in your new offer. Cool. And don't worry, if you get here and you're like, I don't remember what she said, that's what we're here for. You can just ask us for help, right? I prefer you ask your MCA about the money stuff. I don't like money. I don't like to deal with it. It makes me nervous. But I mean, the steps to click through it, I can answer. But the actual money part, I don't know. That's what our MCAs are for. And they're really good at it. Give them a hug, y'all. They deserve it. Any questions on this piece? Quick tips on here.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Now, how will we be able to input multiple offers in order to submit that to our client?
For a listing side.
Yeah.
I'll show you one.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, I can show you one of those. That's a great question. Anything else? All right. So I'm going to show you one more thing. When you go to submit, it's going to ask you about these donations. KW Cares, KW Kids Can. Some people want to give, some people don't. Neither one is a wrong answer. But if you don't want to have to answer it every single time, right? Then if you say you wanted to do $10 each time, then you could say apply this same donation to all my future commissions and click donate and submit. If you don't want to do it, you could click other and put 0 and 0, and then click apply the same donation to all my future commissions and click donate and submit because you're donating $0, and it won't make this pop up every time. But you can still go back into settings. Say that you're new and you're like, I love y'all, but I can't give anybody else any money right now. Totally cool. But say you start doing better and you're like, I want to start giving $5 every time. Then you can go back into your settings and you can update it. Okay. Or you can always just click skip and donate, whatever. But just so you know that you can set it to not have to see that pop up every time. I'm not going to get down into the nitty-gritty details of everything else, like if you're sharing the commission with someone in your office, if you're sending a referral. If you get one of those situations, just ask for help, right? Because it's got different steps and each one of my market centers does it slightly differently. So just ask for help in those situations. If it got sent to you from your cousin in California who's an agent and you're sending them a referral, just ask somebody to help you. Cool. Awesome. Right. All right, cool. So we've covered quite a bit in opportunities. We are going to take a 5-minute break. I'm going to go get some more water. And we're going to come back and talk about Docusign. So if you're not a Docusign user and you don't want to stay and listen, feel free to hop off. If you're going to be using Docusign, which is what KW provides to you, feel free to hang out, right? We got some updates recently in Docusign. We'll be looking at those, and we're going to walk through how we get documents e-signed through Docusign in 5 minutes. All right. So we're going to come back to step 3 now. So we entered our contact, we created our opportunity, we picked our checklist type, which made all of those lovely documents populate, right? This is the one we were working on right here. Any questions along that route, what we did? Okay, we're in our Documents tab. We picked our checklist type. And now we're going to click Start a Transaction. So if you're following your path, there it is right there. Click Start a Transaction. Okay, if you are a Mac user, sometimes Windows, but usually Mac, when you click Start a Transaction and you pick Docusign, if you do not see this happen, Docusign go bloop, it's because you have a pop-up blocker turned on. So look up in your URL bar. I have seen people not know that and have about 37 Docusign windows open because they kept clicking it and nothing was happening. So if you're on a Mac and you don't see Docusign open when you click Start a Transaction, look up here in this bar on the right-hand side. There's probably like a little exclamation point that stopped your Docusign from opening. Okay. Questions on that? Now we're going to log in to our Docusign account with our Docusign credentials that were provided to us by Scott Lorry Marketing and our welcome email that said Killer Cloud set up complete. You had Docusign login credentials. And look what happened. Everything that had the teal DS block next to it now exists in our Docusign room because we picked a checklist type first. If you don't do that, it won't do this. Cool? Okay. So I teach a class on setting up your templates. It's on my YouTube channel. We're going to pretend like you've already watched that class because we don't have time to go over the whole thing right now. Okay. There is a way to set up templates. You do have to do it each year in July when we get our new forms because the forms change. So you have to set up your new templates. Okay. Now we're going to pretend you already have templates. So now I can go right click, apply form template. If a form template exists, it will say apply form template. I don't have one for due diligence. So watch. It doesn't exist because I didn't create a template for due diligence, but I do have one for this. Apply. Pick it, apply it. I have one for my buyer agency. I can apply. I have multiple for that one. Okay. Because I have some set up, Dakota, stop. I have some set up for cash. I have one set up for different types of buyer agency agreements, right? So I can just pick whichever one is the correct one. You can set up multiple templates for the same document if you need to. I have templates set up for my offer. It fills in all my information, my license number, my company address, even a bunch of stuff that I check. If I check that box more than 50% of the time, I've put it on my templates because I don't have to check it. Right? The other stuff, this is the Winston-Salem Market Center that populated in are like samples, things that you might have to give depending on which office and what your leadership team asked me to do is what I set up for your office. Okay. In this example, it's Winston's office. Okay. All right. Questions about this and how the documents came in and how I right click to apply my form templates or any of that kind of stuff. Pretty good? Nothing in the chat. Sweet. Okay. So now we just click our stuff to fill it in. So working with real estate agents. Open it. My template already checked off all the boxes that I needed to check. My stuff's already filled in from my template. I don't need to do anything to it except get it signed, right? Nothing left for me to do. Pretty straightforward. Buyer agency agreement. Check this out. Task contact 7 came in from command for me, right? Because I connected it from command to Docusign. It filled in that person's name for me. It filled in my company name for my template. I need to put the date in that I'm getting this signed. Everybody always forgets this date on the offer to purchase. I mean, on the buyer agency agreement somehow. Make sure you fill it in. And if I had checked off any of this stuff in, I picked the wrong template because my template usually does have this stuff filled in because I really only work for Scythe Davidson in Stokes County in my business personally. But whatever you filled in on your template that you applied would be filled in here, right? But you're just gonna, I'm not gonna fill out this whole document. We don't have time. You're gonna go through, you're gonna fill out everything that needs to be filled out on your document. Okay? Everything that needs to be filled out. Just slide down. Oh, this is definitely not the right template. But you're gonna slide down, 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 and you're just gonna keep filling it out. I'm just going to touch on this. I'm not a broker in charge, but I've seen my broker in charge. The Winston-Salem office is my broker in charge. Have to post about this a whole lot. Okay. Dual agency. Does the buyer authorize your firm to practice dual agency? That means, do they want to go look at houses listed by your firm? If they say yes, then there's a second question. Does that buyer allow the same agent of the firm to represent both them and the seller? In other words, can you show the buyer your listing? If they say, no, I don't want to look at my buyer's agent's listing, I would want to get represented by someone else and have them designated by the broker in charge, right? Read the paragraph. If you have a question, ask your broker in charge what the correct answer is. Okay. I know they've made it a little bit confusing. They like to do that to us each July when they release our new forms. Okay. So I'm just touching on that on behalf of our broker in charges because I know that they've been running into issues. But nonetheless, you're going to keep going through, filling it out, filling it out, filling it out. There's all my stuff that came in from my template. The stuff that came in from Docusign, from Command into Docusign, the buyer's name, their email address, and stuff like that. Cool. Save and close. And so on and so forth. You'd open up your offer. You'd fill in your offer, right? Fill in everything that you need. We're not doing any signatures. We're filling in texts. We're checking off boxes that are our boxes as the agent, right? Here in Docusign. And saving and closing it. Questions on that? Pretty good? Cool. Signing. Okay. We're going to pretend like we went through and we filled out everything that we needed to fill out. And what we're going to get signed today is our working with real estate agents, our buyer agency agreement, the offer to purchase and contract. I'm going to go ahead and send over my working with real estate agents because they haven't read it yet. A sample of the offer to purchase because I checked off on my buyer agency agreement that I gave them one. A sample of the professional services disclosure and questions and answers on home inspections because I also checked off that I gave them that. I don't know yet about my due diligence or my 4T. I don't have my 760 professional services disclosure ready to go yet. I'm not worried about any of that other stuff. I'm just getting this stuff done and providing these samples. Questions on that? Click my check boxes. I'm going to click my pen to create an envelope. That is where we get signatures. This looks new. If you've used Docusign previously, Docusign Rooms, this looks different now. What this is now doing is reading our forms. So it knows of the forms that I have put in to my envelope that these are the fields that exist on in the forms. Who is signing them? I am. I'm the buyer's agent, and there's a buyer agency agreement in there. And my buyer one is signing them. And I don't have anyone else that's signing. Okay? Any questions there? Click continue. And it made it go a little bit slower because it literally is reading our forms now. Didn't used to do this. This was a big update, so that's why it's moving a little bit slower. Little AI brain is working in the background. We're going to give it a little grace while it does that. Love technology. Trust me, where they're going with this is a good place. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get there. I can't wait for y'all to see how it's going to actually end up eventually. It's going to be a lot easier on us, and it'll speed up. There it comes. I did put a lot of forms in there, granted. If I'd only done like 2 forms, it wouldn't have taken so long. There we go. All right, so here's all my forms. Here's my people that are signing, right? You can drag these forms around, which I do usually. I like for them to sign the working with real estate agents first, so I pick it up and I drop it. And then I like for them to sign their exclusive buyer agency agreement. Then they're going to be signing that offer. And I provided them samples. If I wasn't getting my offer signed yet today, I probably still would have given them the samples because it says that on the exclusive buyer agency agreement. It just so happens that we picked out our property today. So I already know, right? Now, this is different from what it used to do. So if you used Docusign previously, this is different. This automatically ordered us 1 and 2. We used to get ordered 1 and 1. So I had somebody call me freaking out the other day, and they were like, I've sent my buyers this stuff 7 times and they're not getting the email. That's because she was number 1 and they were number 2 and she wasn't signing it yet. It's not going to go to them until you sign it. That's why they didn't get it, because you're number 1 and they're number 2. If you don't want that to happen, change your buyer to number 1 also, then you're both going to get it at the same time. Or go ahead and take your action. If you're going to leave it as default at 1 and 2, then go ahead and take the action. You guys won't have to do this step. I just want this to actually go to where I can check it, because I want you guys to get to see what the buyer looks like when they're signing it. Questions here? You guys would not have had to add that. Tazy, did you ask me something, honey? You got to unmute. Good? Okay, cool deal. I'm going to click next. Oh, there's also now a send now button down there. That didn't used to exist either. So anybody who used it previously, be aware that there is a send now button. Okay. Otherwise, this looks pretty much the same. So you're going to see in the upper left corner, I'm gold, Dakota is blue. Okay. So that's his signatures. His signature, mine, his, mine, his, mine. All the same things. Now, this is where I always have conversations with people. See how these initials are hollow and these are solid, right? Let me zoom in some. Oh my goodness, y'all, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Okay. See how these are hollow and these are solid? That is because these are optional, right? I'm going to tell you now, your client doesn't know what any of that means. So you should have already had this conversation with your client, and they should have already said, yes, it's cool. I want to be able to look at the listings that are by your office. If it so happens to be your listing, I'm okay with that too. It's fine, right? should have already had that conversation before you sent them this. So don't leave all those initials there because it's going to confuse the ever-loving heck out of those people. Go ahead and click dual agency. They said yes, it was fine. Come to the right and make it required. Now it's solid like the other ones. They said they don't care if it's your own listing. So click this one. Designated agency doesn't matter anymore. You can click delete on your keyboard. It's gone. Exclusive representation, they did not select that. Delete it. It's gone. Right? Go ahead and make this, because if they see that and they see all three initials, they're going to do one of three things. They're going to not sign anything because they're going to be like, I don't know. They're going to sign all of them, which is wrong. Or they're going to end up signing one or more of them, which may or may not be correct, right? Maybe they do sign exclusive representation because they're like, heck yes, but they don't understand what that means. And then you go put an offer on somebody in your office's listing and they're like, wait a minute, you can't do that because your buyer said they wanted exclusive representation. So you can't make an offer on that listing, right? So have the conversation up front, make the changes before you send the form. Okay? Questions on that? And most people are going to not sign anything because it just takes them right over the top of those initials. I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So I don't sign this, right? This is the offer, but all of Dakota's initials are where they're supposed to be. So that's the beauty of the system, the way it works now. You don't have to choose the pre-tagged roles anymore. It's automatically doing that for you. Everybody's dates and signatures are where they go, right? And then here's just those samples, which they don't need to sign. You're just providing samples because you said you did. Questions, comments, concerns? Good? All right, I'm going to send it off so you guys can see exactly what it would look like. Remember, I left this defaulted at 1 and 2. Okay? So what's going to happen after I hit send, it says it needs my signature, right? You have list view and board view in here. I changed it last time. I forgot to change it back. So this says it needs my signature. Until I do this, he will not get his because I am 1 and he is 2. So if you hit send and then you run out the door and then your client's like, I thought you were sending me over that offer. You didn't sign it. So that's why. Okay. So it needs your signature. So you're going to say, okay, I'm going to sign it. Go. And we're going to click continue and we're going to click start and it's going to take us to the buyer agency agreement. We're going to click, 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 and we're done. Now he got it. And now it says it's waiting for others. And there it is. That's his email. He got his offer. He's going to review his documents. He's going to click continue. He's going to click start. And he's going to have to sign a lot more. So if he has a Docusign account, it will say that. If not, he'll just click adopt and sign. But you should always just like send yourself a test or use your significant other or use your teenager, whoever has an email address so you can test this out if you've never done it before so that you know what it looks like. So, because that way if they call you and they're like, I don't know what to do, you know what the buttons look like. Make sense? So now, All right, so now he is finished signing. And hold on one sec. All right, so now he is finished signing. So I'm going to close out of this. We're going to get rid of that. I'm going to refresh Docusign over here. It may log me out. It did, because I was logged in as him. That's okay. Say you did send it off and then you did go away, right? So when you come back to your desk later, you're like, okay, I'm going to come in here, always start in command, y'all. Always follow that path. If you don't start this transaction in command first, it will not be connected. You can't connect it after the fact, right? So always start here. Now you can just come back to your opportunity, go to your documents, and go to transaction. It's going to open DocuSign up for you. It's going to take you directly to those forms. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. All right. So now you have new versions of the forms because they're signed ones, but it maintained the originals, because that's another question I get asked. I made an offer. The seller said, we accept everything, but we want $5,000 more than that. And my buyer's like, cool, I'll do that. Now what do I do? Because now I don't know what to do with my forms. Okay. You would just go back into this original offer that says form in the corner. Okay. And say, okay, sellers accepted all of our terms, but they wanted $355,000. And my buyer said that was fine. Made that one change, everything else stayed the same. Save and close. Take that form version, send it off for signatures, and send it back to the listing agent. Right? Made the change, click the pin, get signatures, send it back to the listing agent. Cool deal? That's how you can make a change. That's one way. The other way is to drag and drop strike throughs on the signed copy. You can do that too. It's not as neat and it's more work, in my opinion, but you can do that. Good. All right, cool. So now check this out. Earlier we were uploading stuff from our computer, right? But now we started a transaction in Docusign from our command opportunity. So now we can attach files from Docusign or our computer, either one. And we're going to select our working folder, which is Room Docs. The reason you can select a folder is because you can build folders in Docusign and you can collapse them down if you need to, but you do have to pick the Room Docs folder or whichever document folder you're working out of. And you have to work with real estate agents. There it is. It says it's signed. The end. Grab it. Now it's in its correct spot. Exclusive buyer agency agreement. There it is. It's signed. Grab it. It's in its correct spot. None of this other stuff is required. It's optional. I just put it there so that you guys didn't have to go hunt and find your sample forms. So you don't really have to like upload anything else in this folder. So then you could just click Submit to Market Center. Okay. You just click Submit to Market Center right there. Under Contract folder, Offer to Purchase, Docusign, Room Docs, Offer to Purchase. There it is. Click. And you could just go through and add all the folders, all the documents that you got signed that you needed to add, and submit those to the Market Center when you're ready. Okay. So now let me get back into one that I think I have one that's been returned. Hold on one second. Bear with me one sec. Let me search for this opportunity because I want to show you guys what it looks like when it gets kicked back to you. Because what happens sometimes if they're checking something, um, bear with me 1 second, y'all. There. Okay. So compliance app. So your compliance request for Dakota Perry 123 Main Street has been returned by your office for updates. Right. Of course, this was just a test. So it's showing me why. Why did it got returned? This is missing, right? That's why it got returned to me. So I get notified here. I get notified in the command app, and I get notified in command desktop. 3 places I get notified that I missed something. Okay. And then if it's the email version, I can just click view opportunity. It's going to open up command. It's going to take me directly to that transaction specifically. And I'm going to be able to see what happened. So this got returned, right? They leave you notes. You can like hover over it and see why. Please attach the MLS sheet, right? You forgot to attach it. Please attach this, please attach. Missing, returned, all that kind of stuff. So you can see, obviously, I purposely made a bunch of mistakes on here so that you guys could see what it would look like. Hopefully you see all green, right? But sometimes you might just miss something little, like an initial on something, or you checked the wrong box on something and just one form got returned and you have to fix it, right? But I wanted to show you guys that so that you can see how you would fix it, right? I uploaded the wrong document into this spot. Whoops. So now I can click the 3 dots. I can click update, right? I can choose any room documents that are there. Why are you updating it? Put the wrong doc in the spot, right? That's why I'm doing it. Where's the source? My computer. And I can browse and look for MLS sheet. There we go. So there's the correct document. And now I can click update. Now it's going to turn purple. I updated the document. I put the right one there. Now I can click resubmit to the Market Center. Right. And then they're going to be like, oh, cool. You got the right doc approved. Good. Questions on that? But that's kind of the workflow of it. So if we don't have any questions on this, I realized that I forgot to go back and show you the multiple listing things in the offers. Does anybody have any questions on how to turn in documents? This is what I get the most questions on. Docusign, turning in documents, and commissions. So I always like to make sure that I'm telling you guys about everything and making sure that you're good. Just remember, we're here to help you. You have questions when you're doing a transaction, ask. Don't be afraid to ask. We're like our whole purpose for being is to help y'all, right? Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to go back to a listing and show that listing comparison. Let me see if I can find one that I did it with. I think I named one multiple offers. Mhm. Okay, so when you have multiple offers, this is what it looks like. You can upload all 3 offers, just like we did the other ones, right? You just add the steps and you do the compare, but you do put the more comparison stuff in there. I'm going to change response on this because I had already submitted it, but there you go. So if you had all 3 offers there, you could just pick all 3 of them and click compare offers. And it gives you that nice little spreadsheet to send over to your client. This one's cash. This one's, financing, all the days, all the little notes that I took. And then I can email the offer comparison to the client. It says you have 3 offers. Great news, you have 3 offers. I can send a copy to myself and send it over. And they will get it. Hit refresh. And it looks like that. Better than building a spreadsheet, which is what I used to have to do. I like that a lot better. It's a lot cleaner. All right, cool deal. Well, I hope this was helpful for you guys. We have 13 minutes left. You can have 13 minutes of your life back, or you can feel free to ask questions. Completely up to you. Any questions? Good. Was it helpful, especially people that have been here already? David, Pete, guys, good?
Yeah, it was helpful. I learned a lot.
Good, good. You guys have those checklists. If you want to set them up, feel free to do it. It's not something you have to do. Definitely not something you have to do immediately. But I'd just like to show you guys what's there. All right, cool. Well, tomorrow we're going to be looking at our agent website, how to add pages, how to edit pieces of it. We're going to be looking at the consumer app, all things that face the consumer. So we'll be going back into contacts a little bit to talk more about the save search functionality we looked at yesterday. How you change your pictures out on your website and all that kind of fun stuff. Just remember those websites are still in their first version. So that I think they have another more dynamic version waiting in the wings. Just waiting to get that released. I'm glad, Michelle. Glad it was helpful. All right, guys. Well, thank you for bearing with me. I know I did not sound great today, so I apologize for that. But I hope that you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.